Hello and welcome to my latest weekly video news from Madison's. Well, I'm really sorry, I didn't even mention last week that Bank of England were meeting the Monetary Policy Committee to discuss central bank rate, so base rate, which kind of governs what all the rest of the more high street commercial banks lend at. And unsurprisingly, it stayed the same. That was exactly as the market expected. So we're still held at 5.25%. Didn't mention it because that was exactly what the market was expecting. Really interesting though, a three-way split on the vote. Haven't seen that since 2008. So normally it's kind of, do we stay the same or go up, or do we go down or stay the same, or it's very rare that you get a three-way split, which reflects that people, some of the policy are thinking of both going up, down and staying in the middle. Only one actually felt that it should go down. Two felt that it should go up actually, and the rest, the six remaining members felt that it should stay the same. It is expected to come down, base rate. Inflation is ticking down quite nicely, but not quite yet. Over the next 2 months, I would imagine it would start to tip down a little bit, but the banks are certainly pricing that in, mortgages pricing that in as well. So yeah, all still the same on base rate. Stamp duty receipts. Now, that's obviously a really big cost when anyone moves property. It's a tax that you have to pay the government, paid by the buyer, not the seller. At the moment, when you sell your principal private residence, it's free of any tax. Obviously, it's not if it's a second home or an investment home or anything like that, but if it's your main home, the seller can sell it free of tax. And where the tax kicks in is because the buyer pays stamp duty, land tax. And of course, during the pandemic, that was reduced. You got big savings. First, £500,000 of a purchase was free, and then you only had to pay if you went above that. So you might be led to think, therefore, that stamp duty receipts over the pandemic period were dreadful. They fell through the floor. The reality is they didn't, because so much activity was stimulated and so many transactions sit above $500,000 that the government made great money from that rate above. But interestingly, they have now got up to a very healthy level. Some figures that I have to look at because, sorry, my brain isn't what it used to be for remembering lots of facts and figures. So 15.4 billion for the last tax year. Compared to for the previous 12 months, only 14.1 billion. If you look at what happened in the pandemic, it's really interesting. So 2017 to 18, the government took 12.9 billion. Let's then fast forward a bit to the pandemic years. It dropped to 8.67 in 2020 and 21. So that was the beginning of the pandemic. If you remember, we had lockdown declared early in 2020, March. Couldn't do anything. People then started to come out. The housing market started to boom in July when the stamp duty holiday was declared. Then transactions took a little while to get through. So it wasn't 2021 that really felt it. It started to go in 2021, 22, 14.1 billion. So a huge amount of money taken from stamp duty during that period, just showing how it's incredibly profitable to the government. A fourfold increase over the last 2 decades, in fact, is what it actually represents. So yeah, it's a really great source of income. The former housing minister, Robert Jenrick, so I always get thrown by when that family goes past my window. Oh, I tried to catch before this week, but my microphone was out of juice, so I had to wait. Anyway, so it's thrown me. Robert Jenrick, the previous housing minister, has called for more cuts to be made on stamp duty. It's felt for a long time that there should be more done to help first-time buyers get on the property ladder. So he's calling for that. He's the immigration minister that resigned over the Rwanda legislation. So he's used to putting his neck on the line and making a real stance. But yeah, stamp duty, great source of income. Unfortunately, you do have to pay it. We've got a stamp duty calculator on our website. If anyone wants to know what it might cost to buy a property, then head over to that and have a look at that. That will give you a good idea. It's pricey, I'm afraid. I can't deny it. Well, very sad news that Johnny Irwin, who many will know for presenting A Place in the Sun, probably my favourite presenter of A Place in the Sun, sadly passed away last week at the age of 50. So very sadly, at the end of 2022, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, and that then spread to his brain, sadly. He leaves behind his wife, Jessica, and their 3 children. So, my best and heartfelt wishes to the family. It's really, really sad. He was a really big character in the property world, regularly commenting on things. Very perceptive, I felt, whenever I used to watch him. Really good at reading what those buyers thought and making them think about things a little bit differently. So that is a real loss. So that's very, very sad indeed. Next week I am going to be away. I am off skiing, so you'll have a break from me for a week. Of course, it will be Valentine's Day, so enjoy, and I hope you all get spoiled, or indeed not if you're happily single. It's not a problem at all, but lots going on in the town to celebrate Valentine's Day. Lots of our wonderful restaurants putting on meals, so head out and support those. But if you are thinking of a new home, how about this wonderful house that we have launched on Wybourne Crest, south side of the town? Really spacious, good value for money, this one, presented beautifully, and no onward chain, on at a guide price of 1.45 million. So if that's of interest, give us a call. Have a great week this week, and next week I look forward to seeing you when I'm back the week after next. Bye-bye.